Hello and welcome to TechTalk, a Podaholiks podcast with Andrew Thomas from digitalnexa.com and myself, James Piecowye. This podcast was recorded at the Rove Hotel downtown in Dubai. We're talking about everything you need to know about tech, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and some cool stuff too. And maybe, just maybe, some stuff you hadn't even thought about. All happens right here on Tech Talk. Let's get to the show. Andrew Thomas, James Piecowye, Rove Hotel downtown. Success happens at the Rove.
That's it. We got Rove downtown this week again.
I know. It's you know, I like these guys because they
bunker number. What are we? Bunker
4.
Bunker 4. Okay. 4.
Yeah. Or bunker number 4.
Do they call them bunkers?
No, they call them dows.
Dows. That's it. It's a good start. It's a good start. Just to the podcast so we can inform everyone where we aren't.
No, but and someone did say, "Hey, do those guys, are they sponsoring your show?" And I said, "They let us do the podcast here."
Yeah.
So in that sense,
they help us out. Yeah, that's it.
And I
got a room and coffee.
I got a room. We got coffee. We got
bags.
lightning fast Wi-Fi that's free.
Yeah, and a superb view of Burj Khalifa.
Yeah, there we go.
So we've got a lot of tick boxes.
Lots going on.
Yeah,
it's great to be back doing this again.
Yeah, nice to be back. Yeah,
it's this is, as we both said, this is that weekly thing that keeps me reading.
That's it.
My
keeps
emails
us up to date.
Keeps me doing stuff.
Keeps us up to date in the tech world of tech.
There's a great one that I just came across. In fact, we got all sorts of stuff we're going to look at, and I'm a little miffed. I got to get back in touch with the Huawei guys.
Okay.
Because they've got this new Huawei out, and I just want them to tell me about it. I want to talk about it.
Everyone's got one except for you.
Yeah.
Seems like every single influencer that I follow on social media has a P30.
Yeah, so, not me. Yeah. Not me. I've fallen out of love with them.
You were there in the beginning, dude, and they've just left you behind.
They've given up. They've just said, you know what, James. But one of the things,
keep our phones.
One of the things that I really want to see, and I've been asking them about this for a long time, because every time I go over to the Huawei place, they're all using Huawei laptops.
Yes,
and apparently the new phones integrate beautifully with the computers. I just want to see how it works.
The Mate X or something.
They mate with them.
No, Mate X. Is it called Mate X?
I don't know.
Isn't it?
This is the other thing. They've got a whole bunch of crazy names. They got the Nuvos, and they've got the P20s, and the P20 Pros, and the Mate, and the Mate Pro, and the Mate X. And
it's very confusing. Very confusing.
It is confusing. Interesting things, though, are coming along with 5G, and Huawei is got all sorts of political things going on in North America because they're scared of the Chinese. So.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. We'll just let them play on with that. There's no point in getting involved.
Well, and the big thing I keep saying to people is like, hold on a second. Huawei makes the majority of the routers that are used by most phone companies.
Yeah, but not in the Middle East. No, sorry, not in the US.
Yeah, no, the ones that are in the phone services.
They're talking about swapping them out.
They want to swap them out. And what are they going to do? Put Nokia products in, or who? The German products in?
I think it's Juniper. There's a Canadian outfit called Juniper, and
Juniper's going to do it.
Some high-end switches from Cisco, I guess.
All right, there we
that
go.
kind of stuff. There's other people around there. I mean, Huawei just kind of did a bit of reverse engineering, right?
Yeah.
On some of those products originally. And
they got the stuff out there at a great price.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's. If it's trade wars, if it's techno wars, if it's conspiracy theories, I don't know.
The challenge is at the end of the day, these devices are in our hands, and they monitor everything we do, whether we like it or not. So there's always a little kind of Google Maps.
Can you turn off? Can you turn off your device? Like, could you do the detox?
Completely?
Yeah.
Yeah. I could quite easily turn it off.
Just easy.
Yeah, easily.
Hold on, I saw a video of you in your car taking videos, and your wife suggesting that maybe that was an inappropriate activity.
No, I think I could turn off. I could turn off if from a work perspective, if it was like, okay, kind of that's it, switched off, and that's it. I think. I think it's good to detox.
I like to think that I can, but increasingly.
But you turn off every night, right?
Well, I do turn off at night, so I don't answer when I hit the off button. I'm not on.
You don't have your phone by your bed or anything, right?
No. Yeah. So if that phone rings, forget it. If you're sending me a message after 9:30.
Do you have a device at night? I can't remember. Do you have a Kindle or something, or an iPad?
I read hard copies.
All right. Yeah. So you're detoxing enough.
I'm detoxing into that. But during the if someone said, "Oh, can you go the week without your phone?" I don't think I can. And I mean, I could.
But
I find that when I'm sitting somewhere waiting, I'm checking the top 5 things on my Instagram. I'm just seeing what's going on. I find I'm getting more of my news through Instagram now.
Yeah, sure.
The shopping stuff now. I actually like the way they've amped up the e-commerce
stuff.
I really like that. So I find that I'm not on it for hours, but for me it's a 5-minute window, and if it's not in my first 5 minutes of scrolling up, I get bored and I move on. But I go Instagram, take a look at Google News. I'm using that more, my Google feed, which seems to nicely integrate. So I'll be looking at CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. I'll be looking at CTV, and I look at Globe and Mail in Canada. And all 3 of those, Google clearly is monitoring everything I'm doing because it's sourcing the Google News stuff from there as well.
Based on some of that.
So I'm looking at Instagram, I'm looking at my news, and that's about it. And I find that that's my daily thing. And there's times in the day when
you have chance to go through it,
and I do that, and I spend about 10 minutes. I look at these a couple times a day, and we're done. And it's every day of the week. So if someone said you're not going to do it, I don't know if I could do it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough. It's that disconnect. I mean, we were talking about this the other day as kids, when you would literally say, to your parents, "Hey, listen, I'm heading out to the woods. I'll see you at dinner time," and then you'd be gone the whole day, and it'd be tough even as an adult to be gone the whole day without being contactable. I mean, there are times when I've put an out of office deliberately on because I know I'm going to be at a conference or something, and conferences are usually a time to kind of disconnect, even though you're kind of usually at a conference around tech or digital or marketing, but they're an opportunity to interact with real people. So I tend to kind of, as much as it's a digital environment, I tend to disconnect from those things and enjoy the time.
Do you remember when we first got our socials and we first had our Twitter, and Twitter was the big thing, and you'd have someone, and I remember this at my first couple of TEDx's that I did, that you always had someone who was going to be posting. And I remember at one time we had Kay Sedke up on stage, live tweeting the event. And I used to get right into that. I'd be that guy who'd want to be tweeting and throwing stuff out. And then, I don't know, somewhere along the line a couple years ago, I realized by doing that, I miss out on so much of what's going on. So I tweet after.
Yeah, I tend to step away from that kind of real-time engagement just because you can get distracted from it. So you can pull out a salient point and stuff, but you might not be able to be as focused, I think. I mean, great, if you can do it. I've reduced the number of pictures I take now as well. I just tend to enjoy the moment. I'm not really taking a lot of shots anymore. I'm just enjoying the moment and not desperately trying to frantically, anything from food to family to whatever. It's just enjoying the moment again instead of scrambling around trying to look through a lens,
And you see a lot of people at events who are watching the event through their phone. I think they're a bunch of...
it's great. Like Dave Kroll from Foo Fighters turned around and said, "It's crazy now how you pay all this money to watch me through a 6-inch screen, when I'm there, in front of you. So, and the chances are, I mean, I think...
And how many people look at that stuff?
Exactly. You don't tend to look at it. I mean, there is a certain element where
you share it once,
share it, and then you experience it, and. But I mean, I remember. I mean, not to be too somber, but I remember at the 9/11 memorial, there was people taking selfies there, and I just didn't. I didn't get it. I don't. With a selfie stick, it felt odd. Similarly, when you're walking around kind of galleries and museums and things, it's nice to kind of breathe in what's there and experience it and enjoy it and I don't know, not get the obligatory selfie and snap and that kind of stuff. But because most of this stuff is disposable right now, I mean, people. I guess the thing is that there's certain value that's put on, when you used to take a picture and you had to get it processed and you'd wait 2 to 3 weeks in the post and you'd open up those pictures and, there was real excitement, there was value associated, I guess, to, the images at that time. Whereas now when you can literally take a burst shot of 30, pick the best one, is there really any value in that, I guess, Although I'm loving... I love the burst shots though. I'm loving the portrait shot actually on iPhone. That's a very nice.
It does a nice. It is a nice feature.
Yeah, it's nice. And also, I mean, it's just with all the filters and stuff now, we just see a whole lot of falsehoods anyway, right?
You just never know. The beauty feature. I like the beauty feature that slims everyone down.
That's it. Yeah.
But it's changing everything.
Yeah.
Like as you said, and I think it goes in cycles where you get folks that's all they're doing is taking tons of photos of things, and you'll see them. Oh yeah, I did this and I did that and I did, and then, but I wonder if people miss when you used to have that take the photo. You had to have a little bit more skill when you had the DSLR that you actually had film in it.
Yeah.
And getting that done. And
yeah, I mean, there's a good friend of ours, Saga, who he owns a very successful video production company, and his great thing is GWC and how the business is changing because there's guy with camera, and it's basically like obviously someone with a phone and stuff that he's using all of these different tools and everything to get not quite the same effect, but the illusion is that it's the same effect. So there's just some things you can't bypass, right? And when you're kind of producing high-end video, you can't bypass. You've got to have one of those, whatever it is, red cameras or Alex cameras.
Yeah,
and,
red hat.
That's it. You need
and
that.
And someone who knows how to use the tools.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, these are tools. Like you said, there's a skill set required. There's, I mean, look at your son, from a sound engineer perspective. I mean, like I think we've discussed before, I mean, I'm good with my Apple headphones, I don't have to have Beats or anything, and I'm good with them. But your son would probably, be like, no, you're crazy. Can you not hear the different kind of depth and that kind of thing? I'm like, no, I'm good. I can just listen to music.
The layering of stuff, and I think these skills, and this is becoming the big challenge when we start looking at the tech world. Is there's a whole bunch of new skills that are coming out. And
it was interesting. I wanted to talk about that because I'd mentioned to you earlier that I managed to get a flat tire at the top of Jebel Chase, which is pretty epic. And interestingly enough, the first thing I did is I got out my phone and I went to YouTube and typed in changing a tire on a Tahoe. There was no signal. So for whatever reason, I couldn't get a signal on my phone, a data signal. I think it was, some cloud interference or something. And I ended up going old school and pulling out that, 500-page manual that sits in the glove box, and you never looked.
It's amazing you still had it in there.
Yeah, and it was there, and I managed to change the tire quite successfully. But it was interesting, going back to skill sets and skills, that my first thought was, I'll just YouTube this. I'll just watch somebody else how to do it.
And that's the way it is these days.
Exactly.
Everything is YouTube. If you can't get it on YouTube, then it's not worth doing.
No, exactly. And it goes back to that, why in the world would anyone do a video of them changing a tire of, on a Tahoe, but you've got 60,000 views, right?
Yeah.
So for guys like me, but that goes back to the content creation side of things. So I mean, it'd be helpful if Chevy had this, right? If Chevy had all of this content, that shows how to change tires.
Glenn, that car guy, he needs to start making these videos.
That's it. Little snippets of videos. Because interestingly enough, I mean, I had this with the Dodge, and it's probably other cars as well. But the Americans have a great attitude to hiding jack, tire,
they put
wrench.
it everywhere.
I mean, the one in the Tahoe is underneath the cup holder.
Who would think of that? I never would
you can
thought
pop
of
off and it was a veritable treasure trove in there. Of there was your triangle, your first aid kit. There was a whole host of things in there I never knew existed. There was even a couple of kind of old crisp packet wrappers that had obviously somehow managed to sneak themselves in there.
This is a 12-year-old vehicle. You didn't know.
It's never had to change a tire. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Slightly off topic, but
You know what? Not at all.
No.
The one of the things that you wanted to talk about is this is as we have more smart speakers or smart devices like Alexas and Google Homes, and there's more coming. Actually, an interesting one that I also heard today. I was listening to the radio. I don't know, but I was. And Caddy, the home appliance company from Italy, has Wi-Fi enabled washing machines that they're selling in the UAE.
Oh, okay, all right.
And I was wondering, what are you doing with that? I mean, are you using your phone to monitor it? Are you using your phone to
you could
start the load?
One is diagnostics, so it might be the company Caddy collecting and understanding what's going on with your washing machine and hopefully fixing it before. But I guess you can probably control your cycles and stuff.
I guess you could be sitting watching, the latest Star Wars stuff and look at your phone. Oh, hold on 2 minutes before this machine's done. Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
But from a diagnostics, I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah, it's probably diagnostic. There's a really cool. There's a lawnmower. Not Deer John. What's it called? John Fields or Deerfields or something in the States. There's there's the guys that have the motors. So you have the lawnmowers, that you sit on, or the big
John
kind
Deere.
of John Deere. Thank you. The John Deere motors, and they've been connected devices for a while. So what happens with them is if you sign up to their subscription model, they will change out the motor, the rotary blade, and it'll tell you. It'll give you an alert. Hey, listen, you need to swap out the rotary blade. You need to change the timing belt. You need to do this before it kind of breaks, and you got to go down the yard. And you can even set it up to automatically order for you. So you can get it like boom, and it just comes through.
What kind of server space do they have to be running this kind of stuff?
It's pretty small, I think. That's the whole Internet of Things, right? Where everything is connected, and there's. That's the thing, isn't it? Really, anything can be connected now, right? Yeah. As far as your any device, and this is the challenge. As far as when we move forward, the fact is that we're in a room here and there's 2 fire extinguishers now. Yeah. Ultimately, they should be connected. Right, they should be connected devices. They should be alerting the hotel when the time is run out, because they have a best before date on, right, as we know. And they should be alerting whoever it is, NAFCO or whatever, to say, hey, listen, Rove need to replace XYZ. But they're not connected at the moment. But there are probably some extinguishers that are connected. So yeah.
I think this, from when I look at that, I think this is the interesting stage of augmented reality and those kind of things. Well, it's not AR at all; it's AI maybe. Yeah. But having the ability to connect these things and make that portion of our life easier. Yeah.
When we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, saying how Teslas are ultimately connected, and ultimately they learn from each other.
And I think for industry, that's where they really succeed. Whereas before, you'd have to send out a questionnaire, you'd have anecdotal stuff. Now they can actually say, hey, hold on, your washing machine, going back to Caddy, it failed on this cycle and this position. How many other machines are doing the same thing? Ooh, I think we've got a problem with our machines.
Yeah, totally, and that helps, because as much as you would rely on the past and customer feedback, the fact is that it can be convoluted, right? It can be different in the way it's presented, the information that's kind of digested and given to you from a consumer perspective. Whereas if it's a fail from an LED panel, and that's the 12th one this month, right? There may be an alarm bell that's set, and say, okay, hold on a minute, perhaps we've got some faulty stuff.
I still don't own an Alexa. I still don't own a Google Home. Yep. I think I need one of them
to step in that arena.
And the UK government, it's taken it a step further, where they're making so much information. What did they say? 12,000 pieces of Gov.uk information are now available through Alexa and Google Assistant, saving you the trouble of wading through official pages, etc., etc., etc. Again, I think this is a perfect purpose for these machines. Yeah, how do I renew my passport? It tells me.
It tells you, and also
what documents do I need? It tells me.
Yeah, and more importantly, it's a trusted source. Yeah, because the challenge is always that even when you Google nowadays, what is real, what isn't real.
I'm looking at the website.
Yeah, exactly.
But isn't there a possibility that my Alexa could go to the fictitious website?
No, but I think it's a skill, right? Okay. So on these things, you have different skills, and you download the skills. Okay. So I can't just say to Alexa, "Hey Alexa, order me an Uber." I need the Uber skill on there, enabling me to do that. So this is a skill that the UK government has come through, from that side.
So I think this is awesome.
Yeah, it's great. It's just that fun. I'm finding that I'm using the kind of voice activity a lot more when I'm driving. With Apple CarPlay.
Really?
So, the integration to Siri is actually pretty astonishing as far as WhatsApp mainly. So reading WhatsApp messages, sending WhatsApp messages or SMS. Not doing emails yet through there, but definitely from...
What's stopping you from that? Just because you're a pretty heavy user.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it yet. It's more about the WhatsApp and even Google Maps and things like that. But it's I think as... perhaps if I get some AirPods or whatever, I might use Siri even more. But I'm finding now when I'm using Siri, previously like with Alexa, it gets the information right usually first time. Yeah. Whereas they're not asking you to repeat it anymore. So they've definitely improved the interpret voice, as it were.
So do you think the Alexa is the better bet these days than the Google?
They're much a muchness. It really is. It's a much If you
because I don't own either. So
if you're Googled up, you're Googled up. So the thing is now that you've got, it kind of almost boils down to style. So
they kind of look the same though. I'm looking.
They
at
do
the
look
Alexa,
similar. Yeah, they're similar. But I think the thing is that you've got different color pods. You've got different color runs you can do. I think the thing is that it's similar to mobile phones now. A lot of the time it'll go down to design and brand. because they pretty much do the same thing, right? You know, I can take pictures, I can send email, I can go on the internet, I can open Instagram.
Yeah.
So do I want a Huawei or an Apple or a Samsung, or do I want an HTC or a Sony, or do I want one that, you know, has a no bevel, or do I want clean lines, or do I want an edge, you know, all those kinds of things. So it kind of almost, it's interesting how what you're using the device for almost becomes irrelevant. Right,
really?
because you can do
I guess
anything,
you're right.
right?
Yeah.
That's the end of the day. I mean, it's irrelevant now what you use the phone for, because every single one of your phones can do exactly the same thing within when you're talking about price bands, right? But same sort of thing with Alexa Home, you know, Google Assistant, all of these things, they pretty much do the same thing. Yeah.
I'm feeling like I've missed the boat a little bit, although maybe I didn't jump on early enough, and so now there's just so many features that I could take advantage of. So
I mean, I get that weekly email from Alexa that tells me about new skills. This is what you can ask Alexa.
Cool.
Yeah, it was all around Easter, obviously, this last week. So you had a whole load of Easter questions, you know, from a religious standpoint or from a non-religious standpoint, traditions, that kind of stuff, which is pretty cool. How do I, you know, blow out eggs to make painted Easter eggs and stuff like that, you know, when you remove the yolk and everything, all those kind of things. So it was, I mean, Alexa's, I like Alexa for all sorts of reasons, even straight down to listening to you know, if you want to listen to CBC radio or something, right? You could, hey Alexa, you know, when you're making your coffee in the morning, play so-and-so, right? The interesting thing is that from an Alexa standpoint, Amazon have just made music free.
Really?
So, and they've released an ad. I didn't put it in notes, but they've released an ad-supported version of Amazon Music.
See,
similar to Spotify.
I have no issues with that.
So
I love Spotify.
Yeah. So now you've got an ad-supported environment for Amazon Music as well. Yeah. So if you're a Prime member, you get Amazon Music anyway, but you've got now an ad-supported version, a free version, which is pretty cool.
So they were playing with that back home in Canada. This is with maybe it has to go with that, but Spotify. If you were a Spotify member and you were a paying customer, a premium, you could get a free Google device.
Nice.
They were giving them away.
Yeah.
And they were saying, look, even if you've already been this for a while, we'll still give you one. Just send in the email.
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff. I mean, and we may have spoken about this before, but there's some life insurance companies back in the UK that are giving you Apple Watches, and based on your daily activity, your premiums go down.
See, I'm totally for that.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, even they've got it's pretty common practice now back home that you can have an in-car camera, and the in-car camera tracks your activity in-car, and depending on how you drive, your premiums go down for your car insurance as well.
See, I like that.
Because basically, obviously, traditionally, if you look at especially car insurance, there's a blanket approach, right? He's this age, you know, this is how much it's going to cost them. But what they're saying is obviously that people have kind of been unfairly roped in with statistics, basically. So if you are a younger driver, but you're driving well, you're within the speed limit, don't have any black points, you know, you should pay less for your insurance because you're less of a risk. So it's just about assessing that risk. And again, using devices to collect big data in order to kind of help out. It's Terminator, dude. It's Rise of the Machines. It's Skynet. We've got to be careful. They're all talking to each other.
The other thing that I found about Alexa is there's a whole bunch of Easter eggs in Alexa, and if you and they're, you know, from films. So if there's a great one that, depending on if you say things, so if you voice command Alexa, what's the first rule of Fight Club, and it responds to you, don't talk about Fight Club.
Yeah.
You know,
they've got a Chuck Norris one as well. There's the Chuck Norris Easter egg. I'm trying to remember it. I love this where is Chuck Norris? Yeah.
Alexa, who are you going to call? Comes back, Ghostbusters.
Yeah, we've done that. We've done that a few times.
Oh, no. Alexa, where is Chuck Norris? The response that it's going to give you, if Chuck Norris wants you to know where he is, he'll find you. If he doesn't, you won't know until it's too late.
That's it, yeah. I was trying to remember what it was. It's brilliant.
But I just think that someone's got a sense of humor and that they've programmed in all of these Easter eggs.
Oh, I mean, Easter eggs have been in there for years, right? Going back to kind of Bill Gates and early Microsoft days. So in DOS, there was Easter eggs even. So Yeah, I mean, I imagine that when you're sitting in front of that screen writing billions of lines of code, that you do want to amuse yourself sometimes with some of these Easter eggs.
But I love this. Cool. And how many people have done this? Alexa testing, and it comes back receiving over.
If you say sorry to Alexa, she goes, "Oh, no worries." So you just say, "Oh, sorry, Alexa." She goes, "No worries." Well, no problem. Which is pretty funny. But speaking of problems, what about Samsung? Officially delaying the Galaxy launch.
Yeah, well, obviously they haven't figured out the screen. I mean, it was a great idea.
Yeah,
they thought they had it worked out.
Yeah,
it don't quite work.
But you got to wonder why it gets that far. Because what was interesting is I was listening to Howard Stern.
I guess there just weren't enough people trying them.
No, but I mean, I was listening to Howard Stern, and he was talking about how underwhelmed. He's a big Apple guy, and how underwhelmed he was a couple of weeks back with the Apple announcement of Apple TV. He's like, "You're not really telling me anything. You're telling me there's a streaming service. You're not telling me how much it costs, and you're doing this." But Apple are magicians at this, where it is completely under promise and over deliver.
Absolutely, that's what they do,
and they've been doing it for years. And interestingly enough, you look at something like Samsung, and they usually just go balls to the wall, like we're doing this,
and they fail every time.
Well, the last big failure obviously was Note 7, right? As far as that, but I mean, I can't imagine how much this is kind of lost in PR value. So forget actual research value, but the PR value that they gained from the first kind of foldable phone, even here.
Everyone's talking about it.
Somebody got hold of it here and did a review on it here, and the fact is, and obviously Huawei have their one, Mi have their other one. We haven't seen those, and we're not sure about those failures because if they even have any, because there's a different folding pattern for each one of these ones. But I mean, it was the videos went up online where screens were flickering and shaking, and you got to wonder. I mean, surely someone put their hand up in a meeting at one point and said, "Oh, hold on a minute." I mean, that's an expensive bit of kit to go wrong from day one, right? Yeah. I mean, $2,000. Just hold on a minute.
There's a lot of trust in there, and my only suggestion could be that they had a limited run of these things that they got out there and they got them into people's hands, and they, in a sense, people weren't using them as real devices. And then as soon as you ramp it up,
as
soon as people start ramping it up and doing it as you would normally use your phone, that's when the problems start to come about.
Yeah, and I think the challenge is as well. I mean, where do they test it out in the wild now?
Because you don't want anyone to see the thing.
We don't see it. We've heard rumors, obviously, of where people have left some test phones behind, in bars and taxis and stuff. So it's tough to, as you said, to get that real world kind of everyday usage.
So the engineers are testing them around the office. You give them to a couple of the sales guys, but you can't take them out of the building.
No, exactly.
So they don't really use them.
Yeah.
Because what do you and think of that whole style of test. I mean, I don't know if this is how they're doing it, but probably it is. So when you're using the folding phone, you're doing stuff with it, and then you actually need to do something. Yeah. You get out your actual phone because you're not investing in that folding phone because you can't use it for anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
So then suddenly, when you're really putting your own SIM in it, you're opening it, closing it, and doing calls and watching stuff and showing people because you've got the phone. So now you're showing it off to everyone. Well, then you start to get the actual issues that creep up.
So the conspiracist in me...
The conspiracist.
Is that word, conspiracist?
Yeah, you can be a conspiracist.
So the conspiracist...
And if it's not, we've just invented it.
Yeah, we've just invented it. But, you're a smart guy. You're a prof. I thought you might know.
Conspiracist. I'll look it up while you're talking.
Yeah, so the conspiracist in me kind of feels like they knew. Because they've still got first to market. They've still got the name out there. There's no release date now. So they've come back and they said, okay, we're going to pull these in. We've delayed it, but there's we're going to delay it to 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. I think it was to see someone kind of said, look, these aren't quite ready, but why don't we fire it out? Why don't we kind of see the reaction? Is there an appetite for it? So, I mean, as much as the foldable phone is exciting, is there an appetite for it? Do people actually want a foldable phone? And the only way you can really do that is to get something out there, right? Mm-hmm. Is that a real word, Mr.
Conspiracist?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Beautiful. Yeah. Right, there we go.
But
that's...
You think?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I think
first of the post, we want to get our name out there first.
First of the post, first folding phone.
But the negativity behind it didn't work.
But what is the negativity? There was a couple of bloggers that were having some problems with it. It started going out, and then we live in a world now where we expect things to be half done.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, that's true. And
Like,
think
there's
about all the updates you get on your phone.
That's it. So when was
Think
the
of the
last
updates.
time?
Think of the updates you get on your computer. They're
Yeah, exactly. It's half done.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's actually giving you a delivered product anymore.
Can you imagine?
A lot of the time.
Could you do that? I'm going to give you a website. Oh,
No,
it's only
exactly.
going to 3/4 work.
Well,
though.
we'll get this. So build. I mean, the way that people are building websites now is, and it's gone from my mind what we actually call it. But the model is get it up and get it up fast.
Yeah.
So actually, don't launch with 100% content. Launch with 60% content, because a website with 60% content can still help you than not having a website.
Yeah.
So even that model's changed, right? Where there's an expectation. You're running beta and alpha, right?
Yeah.
You know, when you're running kind of different campaigns and
Can you
stuff.
imagine?
So,
10 years ago, we weren't doing that.
no, but that's the thing. So there's almost like an expectation that listen, things are going to fail, but because there's the whole kind of, fail fast, fail hard.
Yeah.
There's the whole kind of it's okay to fail, it's okay. So when you've kind of ingrained this, I think it's okay for them to go out there and say we're first to the post, and then we need to. Oh, okay, no, fair enough. It's a big thing.
So you think they spent all that money knowing that they were going to pull this thing back?
I don't know. I think there's some people that make some decisions now that you think would be crazy at the time, but when they look back and see the value that they got from first to the post, perhaps they'd heard that Huawei were going to kind of blow this out, and there's a lot of pride associated to that as well, because they're playing their games now with them. I mean, Apple have kind of distanced themselves really to the point where, I mean, are they going to be a hardware company in the future? Probably not.
That's a big question.
Right? They're moving away from that, right? And they may fire up, so the Beats that they bought, obviously, and the Beats Plus, that's the hardware element, but it's not Apple. It's kind of like another sub-brand. So perhaps that's where their movement lies, and it's not in hardware, right? It's in other services associated to it, because the technology, for example, that they've implemented for the defibrillator on the Apple Watch, I mean, that's used in healthcare now, right? So that's patented, and that's something else there. So there's other ways to make money, right? And they have a lot of it. So
I don't know. It just seems to me that the possibility that you're going to be remembered for that meme of the failure and it didn't work, and the videos that are going to go up on YouTube of the flickering screens.
But it goes, right? I mean, Note 7 was a danger, right? So you're talking about a phone that was essentially blowing up, right? That's to the point where airlines banned that device on their planes, right? That's how serious it was. Did people stop buying Samsung phones?
Yeah.
Did people stop buying Samsung fridges and TVs? No.
Those 10s,
right?
They're selling faster than ever.
Exactly. So I think the thing is that it's okay to fail now, right? There's almost like a, that was incredible as a bit of kit. It's almost like, I mean, it's no great surprise. Does that make sense? It's kind of like, it's a folding screen. Of course there's going to be some problems. So I think it's I don't know. I feel like in the tech world, that's kind of there now.
That's the new norm.
Yeah.
Get it out there. So. Get it out there fast. Rapid prototype.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll see where it goes.
Yeah,
and you pay a premium to have something really cool.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, hey, it's a learning experience, and they'll compensate you eventually.
Yeah. It's at the moment, the Switch, my son's Switch, has a known fault with the controllers. So what happens is they don't calibrate, and then basically they stop working.
Okay,
it's a known fault.
How do you fix it?
You have to buy new controllers. These are the ones that slide in, right? Yeah. But it's a known fault because if you think about it, you've got two connectors which you slide in.
Yeah.
Now it's a handheld device. Obviously, when you're moving around and you're shaking, some of those connections are over time going to deteriorate, right?
Yeah.
But that's surely a design fault. But they can't do anything with that now. I mean, it's like, well, you fix them or buy new controllers, right? That's it. And what I've done is I've gone online and looked, and there's tons of people. Look at Apple with their lever spring, the kind of wishbone keyboard. Again, known fault, known problem.
That's the same one with this trackpad that I constantly hit.
Known fault, known problem.
They know it. And no one can figure out, as I say, why, if you use your iPad, they've put in the tech.
So what is that, right? So I think the thing is that
there's a lot of conspiracy theories here.
No, we're just used to.
Don't care.
We're just used to accepting.
Yeah.
We're used to accepting that. Okay, you know what? That's
And so the tech companies know that we're going to accept it, so they don't have to rise to the challenge.
I think so. It's a one man's view, but I'm not being negative with it. I think it's
just a reality.
The fact is that people are trying stuff out, right? And it's as soon as Google's in beta for how many years? I mean, they had beta written on Google.com, right?
Yeah.
And that's again, Windows updates. Is another update. I mean, the amount of times that your apps update themselves,
it's
and
crazy.
they don't, and they're not. There's no new functionality.
Yeah,
it's not like we've
updating?
just updated. Well, we're improving. What's it say? Improving your experience.
Yeah,
that's always what it is. But that's not. That's like a group of 20 people that have found a problem with the app, alerted them about it, and gone, okay, we better improve your experience. Like crashing out.
Yeah. Well, and I hadn't updated something on my Mac.
Yeah.
And then my iTunes wasn't working correctly.
Yeah.
It's like they were forcing me to update.
Yeah.
So that my iTunes would do a feature that I wanted it to do.
I have something wildly frustrating at the moment on my Apple, and in the App Store, there's 2 Apple products in there that will just sit and not update.
Because of your operating system or something?
So it's brand new, right? So this is out of the box new.
No, maybe they're
it will not update Apple Store or Clips.
That's weird.
Now these are 2 Apple products, right? That are there. I go to update it and it just spins and spins and says no.
That is weird.
Yeah,
very weird.
So We've all got problems.
Yeah.
All got issues.
Yeah, it's first world problems here too. It's like
that's it. So complete first world problems.
Oh, man. Yeah. Speaking of first world problems, another great piece you put in is the gadgets you need on the road, and this is a guy who I think it's a guy
went traveling,
and things that he could not live without.
That's it, yeah, and
went through the bag, and it's got a nice XT3.
I was going to say what kind of caught your fancy. I wanted to throw out there so you could kind of see what was in there, and one of the ones that caught my fancy or interest straight away was the gaming bit.
Yeah,
there's this. I think we spoke about 8-bit do 0. More gaming on my smartphone. Tired of using touchscreen, I purchased a Zero controller.
$18.
Yeah, and it specializes. It's tiny.
Yeah,
so it's the size of a couple of quarters, but basically
it's got all the buttons.
It's got all the buttons, so it's like a miniature controller. So I thought that was quite fun. On there, I thought that was quite interesting. But then I did see some odd ones where he had an audio recorder.
I saw that.
And
Zoom.
I'm like, why?
I like the Zoom.
But why would you want an audio recorder when you've got your phone, right?
I guess sometimes you get especially with the Zooms, you get better microphones.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah,
but I think that's all changing though pretty quickly. And there's a little bit of holdover, and the microphones in our phones are pretty good, especially if you keep them close to the face and stuff like that. But you can buy some really nice add-ons now that give you great quality, and you no longer need the Zoom, which essentially just becomes an MP3 recorder with a better mic. And so I think a lot of that's changing. But I also thought the Zoom was kind of cool. I had all the adapters. I liked the 2 terabyte extreme portable SSD.
Yeah.
And I just thought, man, that is...
Yeah, a little portable device. I think that's it. Yeah, I mean, there was even some basic stuff on here. Obviously, so he was talking about a carry-on that he actually took on as well. There's some company called the Bigger Carry-On, away travel, which was quite interesting, I thought, from that side of things. So I like it's got an ejectable battery on it.
Yeah.
So basically, it's compliant with TSA policies, and what you can do is you can plug in your devices. So you've got a USB port in there, and it basically it's you push a button, and it's an ejectable battery, so you can load up and change your devices. And this is a real American thing for me. So people that probably travel regionally don't really understand this, but in the States, the amount of times the flights get cancelled, and you're bumped and you're pushed, and we've all been sitting in an airport there for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, and this is great. The ability to charge your devices, because obviously there's only a certain number of plugs for people.
And this is I don't. And this is the change that's happened electronically. Yeah. Airports, public spaces have not kept up with the reality of the world we live in. No. And you need sockets, but you just need USB ports. You need lots of them. Yeah. 3 per person, at least.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's not a bank. I mean, some of the newer airports have those stations,
Right.
but yeah, a lot of them don't have. It's interesting that as much as someone like Emirates invested heavily in their ICE system, it's interesting how they've spent so much money on that and not just their Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Where, you know, if you fly with Jet or you fly with Delta or anything, you can jump on their Wi-Fi and watch, streaming. I mean, I tend to watch like football games for whatever reason. It's been time when I've flown. But you're watching streaming device, you know, from there, and you've got your own device, which people want. They've got their own settings, their own headphones,
exactly,
that kind of thing.
Just let me do it.
Yeah, just interesting how none of the regional characters have jumped onto that.
The other thing in this Business Insider article was, so there's also an organizer. Forget about the organizer. I'm just looking at all the cords in the organizer, and I'm just thinking, if this is this person's cords, he's got everything from charger cables to extension cables, and it's just like, I got envy in there.
Yeah, cord envy.
I mean, there had to be 12 different cords, all organized nicely.
I saw a great post actually the other week on Facebook, and someone was saying, and they put up, I mean, I think every guy has a cord box in their house.
Yeah.
And he put it up and he goes, okay, that's it. I'm done. If anyone wants this cord box, let me know. Otherwise, I'm trashing it in like 3 hours. And the first comment was one guy going, listen, are you sure you really want to get rid of that? And he commented underneath, he went, don't. I'm already having second thoughts. And it's true. I think that, you kind of have these corded devices, and over the years, I've probably still got a box full of SCART cables. Yeah. I was at a presentation this morning of a client, and they said, oh, have you not got a VGA adapter? And I'm like, no, I didn't realize VGAs were still a thing. But now
I have a VGA.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Now I'm thinking I need to carry around because obviously having the Mac, you carry lots of dongles anyway.
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking, okay, Christ, I need a VGA adapter.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this leads in nicely to one of those things that this is irritating me about my Mac and all the dongles. And so the other day I forgot my power supply.
Yeah.
And I was in the toilet because I've got the new Mac. It only uses a very
USB-C,
very particular. And so I'm wondering, hold on, why has no one come up with a universal power supply that exists that has all of the different adapters attached to it, adapter ends, so that I can just buy one adapter that's going to fit into my Mac, one that's going to fit my Lenovo, one that's going to fit my Asus. Yeah. Like we've got for phone chargers.
Well, I think they're trying to move to USB-C. So most people, the aggravating bit I have with Apple, and we're not on video, but obviously it's up on YouTube and stuff on Podaholiks. But so when you buy a new power pack from Apple, guess what's in the box? The plug. That's it. Like the plug. Nothing else. So I was in one of those situations where I stopped off on the way down to Abu Dhabi. No cable. But they don't tell you, right? And I've bought it in Virgin, and I'm like, right, are we good to go? Yeah, we're good to go. Back at the hotel, went to plug, no cable, right? So the cable is even USB to USB-C. Yeah. And the other pain is, can you get a proper USB-C cable anywhere? USB to USB? No. I'm talking Emacs, plugins, Jumbo, Giraffe. No one's got a decent USB-C 3 cable. So it's wildly frustrating. I don't know why you wouldn't put a cable in there with it.
But they sell them there, so
that's a madness.
You just need to buy the other cable.
So it's a really super short cable. That's all you can buy. So the problem is now it comes with a long cable that you actually buy, but this is like super short. Yeah. Right? It's just, look at that.
Yeah.
Done.
It's
nothing.
You're done for.
Yeah, especially in this part of the world where they seem to put plugs in places where no business being, right? It's kind of like the amount of offices I go to, and I'm like, where can I plug in? Well, if you want to get on your hands and knees, you can get under the desk. Oh, thanks. Okay. Great.
Nice. Well, and this is the other thing that I was fortunate the other day. I forgot my power supply in a classroom. Yeah. And I get up to my office and I'm doing work, and then I only realize I forgot it when the machines ran out of juice. And I'm then going, oh no, hold on, where did I forget the power supply? And I'm thinking, I forgot it somewhere. Yeah. And not that someone would take it, but
No, that's it.
But they might need the cord.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
because they've
done.
lost theirs, and they're going, hey, there's a stray.
Here we go.
I'm going to wait here for an hour.
Finders keepers.
Exactly. I went back. It was all sitting there.
That's lucky.
I don't know how much
that's where we live, right?
I know. I was
lucky with that.
Really lucky. But you forget that in a Starbucks or something. Yeah. Next guy comes to the table. Oh, bingo. Yeah. They're walking away with it for sure.
It's interesting how we've become so reliant on power again. I mean, just linking into. I put up here in the notes that Star Wars, because the game is there, but Gameboys 30 years old.
30 years old? Can you believe?
30 years old.
I was looking at that
crazy.
Going, man.
But what the scary thing about that is that it's all batteries.
Yeah.
4 AA batteries.
4 AA's.
And
they lasted pretty long, those
AA's.
I'm
trying to remember, like as a kid, teen. As a teen, I definitely... I'm trying to think, but I definitely seem to remember changing the batteries at some point.
Yeah.
But it never felt like I had to do it a lot. Whereby if I look at some of the devices now, like the Switch and things like this, you're continually charging. Yeah. Continually.
Nintendo Game Boy and that pathetic little green screen if you weren't on the color thing that eventually came out. But 30 years.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
That's it. Yeah. It's all the way back. All the way back.
And wow. That's tough.
Yeah. Can you remember 30 years ago?
Yes.
Yeah? Did you have a Game Boy?
No.
The boys had a Game Boy or no?
Yeah, my boys ended up getting them legacy Game Boys, so they went old school. They wanted the old school.
Yeah.
And I remember going down to flea markets and all that. And one of the things was one of the boys they bought one and he bought it with his money, and then he wanted something different, so he sold his entire Game Boy thing.
Really?
Kind of like the cord cable box.
And
then 2 weeks later went, it was a really big mistake. And so he ended up, the guy who he sold it to wouldn't sell it back to him. So he ended up finding another one. He's on eBay. He's looking, he's bought a whole other one and
it'd be interesting
collecting the games again.
So have a quick look on eBay. We're looking at this because I mean, I got a Game Boy. I've still got the original Game Boys.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to know how much they're going for at the moment, like an original Game Boy, because I don't know if they've held their value or. No, so $40 for a pre-owned Game Boy.
Brilliant. Yeah. That's the original one.
61 in one games, 14.
Oh no, that's
$40 Japanese, $40.
Yeah, okay.
These are the originals. This is an original K2 G01, $60. So there's still a lot out there.
Price.
There's still a lot out there by the look of it, and a Game Boy Advance. So I've got one of those as well. What are they going for? $50.
Wow.
Look at that. I could make $100 today.
I would have thought they'd be a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
So they're still right in there. I guess who's going to buy them though? Nostalgia. Yeah,
I think what's interesting is a lot of the emulators now that you've got. You can play these games on your phone, and even if you join up,
and you got a better screen on the phone. That's better screen, better sound.
You join up for a year on Nintendo, for the year, and basically you get free access to a downloadable emulator almost. So it has all the old games. It has Zelda, it has Mario, it has all of these things as well. So
so why do you really want that old? Unless it's just nostalgia playing on that.
But I think it's the nostalgia's part of it. But the games are still. They hold up.
Yeah.
They're
entertaining.
Challenging.
They're entertaining as well.
Yeah.
And they're basic.
I mean, my son was like, "Didn't you find this frustrating when you were young?" I was like, "Yeah, it's wildly frustrating that Mario won't jump that extra bit to go in that. But that's all part of the game. What's different with a lot of games nowadays that are popular is it's never ending. There's revivals. There's it's whereas. You were playing Golden Axe or Double Dragon or one of these old school Shinobi, and when you ran out of quarters or whatever, you ran out, and that was it. Like there was no revival, there was no nothing. So it was quite fun.
Yeah. I want to get a pinball machine for my place.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're quite expensive.
I know.
Yeah, there's
those things have.
There's a company in the UK and the US that I know one of the bars here, Breeze Beach Bar, got a Baywatch pinball machine.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was some money. And the other problem with them is it's just they need maintenance.
Oh man, and that was always
it's all
the
mechanical, and it's going down quite a bit.
The bumpers and things and adjustments need to be made. And
there's a few. There's quite popular back home now. There's these kind of arcade bars where they've got all of the old arcade machines. Okay. You can go in and play the arcade machines and have fun with that and have a beer and stuff. Yeah,
those were the days. I mean, there still are those, but now they're more just all the electronic games.
Yeah, no, this is like Afterburner and stuff
Yeah.
like that. When that was, it was.
That's
like,
before we had good TVs and good computers.
exactly,
Then
yeah,
you go and play there, and they'd.
Oh,
have,
I mean, some of the graphics. I think I mentioned to you from last week with Comic-Con. There was that PlayStation game off or whatever it is. I mean, that's frighteningly realistic. But I mean, they're talking about some kids that are way too young to be playing some of these games now. That they're getting post-traumatic stress.
no doubt.
Because
doubt.
it's they're locked in. They've got headphones on. You're zoned out. You're in a dark room. You've got a screen in front of you, and you're playing for 6 hours solid.
Yeah.
And
too much blood, guts, and gore. Like everyone,
it's not good. Yeah.
George Gerbner, man. Go back to his reports on children and watching this kind of content.
Yeah.
It just affirms
Not good.
again what he said. Yeah.
Yeah.
You use Grammarly?
I don't. I see a lot of their ads running on YouTube.
I do.
Never used it.
You know what? I use Grammarly.
Yeah. Okay.
And one of the things, and I like it. You got a free version. You got a paid version.
Okay.
So you can up for the paid version.
What do you use it for?
I use it for checking the spelling and grammar across all of some of the different things that I'm producing online.
Okay.
And for most part, there's a couple of software programs I use, and sometimes it doesn't work with one of my Google applications.
Right,
I'm not sure why. I think Google wants me to use something they've got.
Yeah.
But I kind of like it. But what's come to mind recently, and I've probably been getting this for a long time, and I didn't realize it, is they send me an email. And I don't know if it's weekly or monthly, that almost gamifies my using of Grammarly, and it rates, how complex words you're using compared to, and it gives you a percentage.
Oh, cool.
And tells you what kind of errors you're making
That's
a
fun.
lot of. And I thought, okay, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I guess you can get more data on what you're doing if you pay for it. It's actually really affordable.
Yeah.
So
I've seen the
but they
ads
advertise
a lot.
heavily on YouTube.
Grammarly. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, I've never actually. I've never clicked on an ad.
So I absolutely love it.
Great, composed, bold, clear, mistake-free writing, power writing assistant. But what do? You'll write something and then it will.
So I've got it enabled on my computer. I've
Okay.
downloaded Grammarly so that it now functions within different programs that I'm using.
So when you're typing out stuff, obviously
it'll
will
highlight it
make
in-
suggestions.
Yeah, so it'll
But
do
what's the difference between like Word and
It seems to be more
so
powerful.
on steroids?
Yeah, a little bit
Okay.
more powerful. So it gives.
Well, I mean, if you're using it, I'm thinking I might have to have a look at it.
And it works. So if you're using it with Word, great. Now,
Yeah.
if you're using it and you're publishing something in WordPress, it'll work in there.
Yeah.
If you're using something,
Yeah, it says it's got a Google Chrome.
so that's how I use it. I play
Okay.
with it Chrome and
Nice.
jumps in and.
Oh, while we're speaking of that,
oh.
sorry. There's a Chrome for all of you guys out there that are buying stuff online.
Yeah,
This is great.
Chrome.
Jip first told me about this.
That's Jat and Mava for everyone else who's out there.
at
Nexa,
Nexa.
digitalnexa.com.
You need to get something called Honey.
Honey.
Yeah, and Honey it's a little Chrome plugin. The website is joinhoney.com. Basically,
automatic coupons?
It's automatic coupons.
Whoa.
That's exactly what it does. It just goes around there, and you go on Amazon, you go on Best Buy. I'm not sure if it works with Souk because I don't go on there, or Noon, I don't know, but worth a try. Crate and Barrel, Best Buy, all of those ones. And what it does is it automatically hunts down the best coupon at that time, applies it, boom, save money. That's it.
Wow.
Done.
Okay, you know what? I've
Yeah.
just loaded it.
Yeah. 10 million members.
Told me Honey's installed.
Here we go.
It's there.
Yeah, so let me know how you get on with it if you're buying anything online. When you buy the old Alexa.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I just feel like I got to get in there. Yeah. Hey, did you read that one of the other crazy things that's going on these days with facial recognition and the teen who's suing Apple for being tagged as someone who should be arrested?
No.
And yeah, this is
in the notes.
It is in the
Missed
notes. Yeah, I just put it in recently, probably when you were on the phone. So no, I thought this
Dangers of facial recognition.
That's it.
Okay.
So an 18-year-old New York youth has filed a $1 billion lawsuit against Apple over a false arrest he says happened because of Apple's face recognition system. And NYPD officers arrested this person on November, falsely linked to a series of Apple Store thefts in Boston. And they're saying it wasn't me.
Wow.
And they're saying the facial recognition just didn't work. Yeah, falsely accused.
I've been really loving the facial recognition actually to open the phone. It's
I use it too.
Yeah, it's I use it a lot.
I think it's fantastic.
Perfect, especially because I know you were the guy that scanned multiple fingerprints on
man,
both hands.
I got all those done.
Yeah, but I never did that. So I'd only ever open my phone with my right hand. But interestingly, since I've had that facial recognition, I've been using it a lot more.
Yeah, so I think it's cool. Absolutely. And my phone the other day came on and told me that I had facial recognition and I had the feature when you lift up the phone, it'll unlock it. Yeah. And my phone told me, it says, if you're using facial recognition, you don't need to be using that. And it's using up way too much power. And I thought, these phones are way too smart.
There isn't a day that goes past now where I don't use Apple Pay. Just completely Apple Pay now. And almost when somebody says Apple Pay's not available, I kind of look at them funny. I'm like, what? What? Oh, it was IKEA. I was in IKEA and they were like, oh, we don't do Apple Pay. I'm like, huh? What? What do you mean don't do Apple Pay? I only have Samsung Pay. It's like, really? They still make you guys. So it was quite funny. I just, it just made me laugh that I was using it so much. I'm using that as ATM as well.
Really?
Yep. So I don't use my ATM card. I use the Apple Pay. That's it. Boom.
Wow.
Yeah. So just up to the ATM, use the NFC, tap in your number, and then you're
done.
Away. Yeah.
And you see, I got to get in on more of this.
Yeah.
Where are we at? I think
we're coming to the finish line, aren't we?
We've come to the finish line. We've got a few more things, but you know what? I think we're going to... Why don't we wrap it up for you?
Cool.
Another episode of Tech Talk. Andrew Thomas, James Piecowye. And what do? We hang out at the Romp Hotel and talk tech. And essentially, we're almost like your personal curators of technical information.
Stuff you need to know.
Yeah, products, stuff.
Yeah, sometimes stuff you don't need to know about, but mostly stuff you need to know about.
There we go. It's that simple. Follow us. We're going to give you the email address in just a second. And, of course, share the link with your friends, family, and everyone. Let them know we're doing what we're doing. We love you. Hey, have a great one. Talk to you again soon.
Thanks, bye.
You've been listening to Tech Talk, a Podaholiks podcast with Andrew Thomas from DigitalNexa.com and myself, James Piecowye, recorded at the Rove Hotel downtown in Dubai. If you want to get in touch with us, Podaholiks with a K at gmail.com or hit us up on the socials, Podaholiks with a K. We'll talk to you again really soon. Share the podcast. So long for now.